but it's many, and it's broad, and it's diverse. I will be sharing a little bit of the demographics, but before we get started, I would like Lyle from Berkeley County, representing Berkeley, to come, and he's going to say the prayer for us. And Jim, if you could give him the mic, that'd be great.
Sure, let's pray. Father God, we invite your presence, the presence of your Spirit here in this place tonight. We thank you, Lord, for the freedom we have in this country. Thank you. We have the freedom to elect people to represent us. And as we hear from these candidates tonight, may all the people here know your love, peace, and joy. And Lord, we ask that your kingdom would come, your will be done. We give you all the honor, glory, and the praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. So next we're going to do the pledge. And a very special person from Charleston County is coming to help us, and this is Lieutenant Colonel Commander of the 1st Battalion of the South Carolina Guard. State Guard, sorry, Mr. Keith Blanford.
All right, I'm Keith. All right, I do want everybody to remember, we have different nuances, we have different ways of looking at things, but we love each other. I love every single one of you very much. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. One other thing I did want to mention, when you came in, I really tried diligently to tell the ladies to have you sign in. I do not give any of that away. It's only for my meetings and for any other future events. One lucky person that signed in will get Keith's new book that he wrote, little synopsis on the color Revolution War, would you say, something like that? So some lucky person's going to get that. Also, by signing in, you will also, every one of these candidates, and let me say right now, we have one that was missing that signed up because of a funeral, so Justin Myers will not be here tonight, but the ones that I gave them 8 questions, and if they responded back, many did, you will get all of the answers from their 8 questions. As you see, we have very many here tonight, so it's going to be quick. The other way that I tried to get all of the counties involved was I asked for people from the different counties, the 6 different counties, which is, let's see, somebody yell out a county.
Berkeley.
Colleton.
There we go. You said them all. So there is questions represented from those counties, and again, this is important because one of these individuals will be representing you. So also, I wanted to make a quick announcement about, if you, like I said, if you sign in with the email, if you haven't done that, you can go back and do that. At the end, we will be doing a straw poll, and how many of you have heard about the gold standard? Gold standard voting. Anybody heard about that? President Trump is behind that. Has anybody been hearing about all the mess with the machines? Dominion, SOS. People used to say, you're crazy. There's no cheating. It's all coming out now. So the gold standard is what that President Trump is wanting us to do. So it's going to be a very cool thing. For those of you that want to stick around, we're going to do a live demonstration from the straw poll of how each precinct would be voting, okay, and how they could do that, and how simply this can be. If I hate even saying this now, if Venezuela can do it and count them out, we certainly can.
Yes.
So, and again, how many of you in here tonight are from Congressional District 1? Okay, y'all. How many of you are registered to vote? Again, here's your voters. How many of you will vote in this primary, June 9th? There you go. And along with that, each one of these, they'll be telling 20 to 30 other people, because these are the people that care. These are the people that want to know the candidates, and their neighbors, their family, everybody else will call them and say, hey, who should I vote for? But they should be the one finding out themselves, but y'all know that happens. They all call you and want to know. So, all right, just a quick little background I found pretty interesting. CD1, the Republican dominance, was from 1981 to 2018. And then 2 years, Cunningham came in, and he won 2018 to 2020. Mace won 2020 and reclaimed the seat and has defended it in subsequent elections right up to now, 2026. CD1, South Carolina's original congressional district, salute. Right here, after the state ratification of the U.S. Constitution, the first district has historically included key coastal and port areas central to the state's trade, agriculture, and military activities. Demographically, the district's population is nearing a million now. It was 800,000 then, as of recent estimates, featuring the middle age of, or the medium age, what do you guess? 41, with a median household income of 88,000. Surprise, the statewide average due to tourism, logistics, defense installations, including Joint Base Charleston, politically leans Republican. One more little bit of facts here. So we said Berkeley, Beaufort, Charleston, Dorchester, Jasper, and Colleton. Which is the largest county?
Berkeley.
Population. I thought it was going to be Charleston. It's Berkeley. So, who's next? This is another shocker. Beaufort. So that really did surprise me. So you've got Berkeley at 229,861, Beaufort 187,117, Charleston 179,743, Dorchester 127,543, Jasper 4,581, Colleton 2,358. Salute. So these are estimates that started in 2022 to go up to 5 years. So they'll be doing a whole new, estimate because it's obviously gone up. Racial demographics: 68% white, 18% black, 8% Hispanic and Asian and Native American, etc. So we also have in our district composition urban, suburban, rural elements anchored by Charleston metropolitan area along with coastal beach areas. So, like I said, it is very diverse and it is a unique district. Okay, getting that out of the way. I wanted to introduce our CD1 officers. We, during a gubernatorial year, those of you that are delegates, you get together at the convention and you vote on your officers. So I won for Charleston CD1 chair. Thank you. Jim, if you would stand. Jim is the vice chair for CD1. And I'm so sad, but Anna Marie Blevins could not make it tonight. She's not feeling well, but she's been fantastic in helping out, and we've enjoyed getting together for meetings, and if this goes well tonight, there will be more events to look forward to. So, Jim, if you would stand again, he is going to go over the rules for the, tonight, for the forum.
So, no truth that I'm in charge of vice for CD1. That's not the case. So, thank you everyone for being here. Tonight is about you. Yes, it's about our candidates, and I thank all of you for being willing to be here. This is your opportunity to learn about each of these candidates. Some of you, because I know a lot of you are very active, probably know a lot about them. Most of you probably know very little about most of them. But our objective here tonight is to provide a forum. We're going to ask questions. They're all going to answer the questions. You get to hear from them and learn a little bit about them and figure out who do I want to go follow up with. But more importantly, when you leave here today, you need to go engage your sphere of influence, your neighbors, your family members, other people who will vote in CD1, and encourage them to do the same. One of the biggest challenges we have in our republic, in our democracy, is apathy. Okay? Voter turnout is pathetic. This event is designed to try and stir interest. There was methodology to what we did. The candidates are sitting here as a result of drawing numbers out of a hat. We started in alphabetical order, but over time that becomes a problem because the person at the front is always at the front. So they drew numbers. That's why they're sitting where they're at. We've curated questions from across CD1 from various people within CD1. These are not all my personal favorites, Cynthia's personal favorites, or anything. And they reflect what we believe to be important questions for someone who is seeking to be the Republican nominee for the general election in November to represent CD1 in Congress. There are no questions about dog catchers, local trash pickup and everything. Those are things that, while I'm sure they care about it at their personal house, really don't affect us in Washington. They're running to represent us there. So there's a method to all this madness. And as Cynthia said, at the end, we're also going to conduct a straw poll, and we're going to make sure that it's done correctly. Okay? So we'll have some ballots for you, ask you if you want to participate. You can stay behind and watch a demonstration of the gold standard tally process. As Cynthia said, this is something that Donald Trump supports. And there's legislation here in South Carolina driving that as well, so we hope to see that. So we have 4 moderators here. I'll be one of the moderators. I'm facilitating the moderators, okay? But from Berkeley County, we have Mary Torco, okay? From Charleston, Mamie Rand, and from Colleton, Paula Tisdale. And so we're going to be rotating around asking the questions. The format is this. Once we get through all of this perfunctory stuff, the candidates will provide an opening statement. They'll have a minute and a half to do so. We will follow the order that they were seated. Then we're going to move to the questions. Each of the candidates will have 1 minute to answer the question. Okay, again, this is a forum, not a debate, and it's a chance for them to introduce themselves and their positions on some of these issues. There will be no responses or back and forth. Just answer the questions. Time permitting, we're going to have a lightning round at the end where we'll ask a number of yes or no questions of the candidates, and we'll ask them to hold up a card, yes or no. And it's all at once, don't need an explanation, and then after that we will have closing statements from each of the candidates. So glad you're here, time permitting, we'll see how things go. Strap yourselves in, it's going to be fun.
Okay.
We first want each candidate to announce.
Oh, yes.
They've got the 90 seconds.
All right, so for our opening statements, in the order drawn, we'll start with candidate Alex Pelbath.
Thank you. Hey, thank you everybody for being here tonight. Really, the only thing I'm enjoying about politics is getting to be around so many amazing America-loving patriots like you, so thank you. I am Alex Pelbath. I'm a retired Air Force pilot. Spent 22 years in the military. Most importantly, I'm a husband to an amazing, gorgeous smoke show wife sitting right over there and 2 incredible kids. We are a Jesus-loving, God-fearing, America-first family. I graduated United States Air Force Academy. That's what started my 22-year military career. That saw me go from the cockpit of a C-17 to the Pentagon to almost a decade ago, moving finally home here to the Low Country. While I was at the Pentagon, I had an opportunity to become a budget policy and economic policy expert working on the Air Force's $800 billion budget. And then I worked literally at the highest level of the Pentagon, worked for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on national defense policy. After that, I was selected to come here to Charleston. Like I said, almost a decade ago, got an opportunity to command a C-17 squadron right up the road here at Joint Base Charleston. After that, I was selected to lead the C-17 Special Operations Unit. It was in that capacity that I had one of the most transformative experiences of my life, and that was during Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. I and my team were sent forward to deal with that mess. I was on the ground there for the entire 17 days of that ordeal, and as the commander, I flew the last airplane out of Afghanistan. I witnessed firsthand the devastating consequences of career politicians' weak leadership. I'm running to make sure that nothing like that ever happens again. There's a war going on in this country. It's not right versus left. It's good versus evil. Politicians don't win wars, leaders do.
Thank you. Next up, Logan Cunningham.
Thank you very much. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Logan Cunningham, Beaufort County. No relation to Joe Cunningham. I want to get that straight. I'm on the right side of the aisle, not the left. First, I want to thank you guys for coming out here. A little bit about me. I started my professional career as a teacher in Beaufort County. It was one of the greatest honors that I've ever had, outside of being blessed to grow up here in the Low Country and put roots down here in the Low Country. But one of the things in the classroom that taught me, working alongside those students and those families every single day, is that real leadership isn't about talking or sitting up here having conversation, but it's about showing up and getting real results. That's what actually led me to run for county council. I've had the honor of being elected as the youngest Beaufort County councilman in history in the state of South Carolina. On that time there, we're on year number 6. Our track record speaks for itself, and that is results. Things that we promised and things that we said we were going to get done, from protecting our waterways, passing the green space referendum, and enforcing the infrastructure, making our teachers one of the highest paid in South Carolina, supporting our law enforcement, we were able to accomplish that. Now you're going to hear a lot of candidates come up here and talk about the same thing, and that's going to be about supporting America First policy, supporting President Trump, and securing the border. All of us can say that. I was there since day one in 2015 and 2016 in Beaufort, but the difference is this: don't forget what President Trump really did. His policies are great, but the biggest thing was securing the Republican Party and engaging the working class and the youth again. And I just want to make sure that you guys understand that that's got to be the future of the Republican Party, and I appreciate the conversation for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny Cunningham.
Jenny Honeycutt.
Honeycutt, excuse me.
Hi, I'm Jenny Costa Honeycutt. I'm from right here. I grew up on James Island. That's where I raised my family. My why are my children. My oldest is 24. Thank you. And I recognized exactly the issues he was facing as he got married and went to buy his first home. In America, we have a serious affordability crisis right now, and we need somebody who's going to go to Washington and serve. Too often, I think folks in Washington are out for themselves and their own political agenda and their opportunity to be on TV. And what I have done in my 8 years on Charleston County Council is really dug into issues and serve the constituents. And so that's what I want to do. I want to take those same things that I've learned. Look, we've balanced budgets on Charleston County Council. I've had the opportunity to support our law enforcement, which is so critical to the safety of not only our district, but the country. And I've also had the opportunity to defend our Constitution. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm an attorney, a small business owner. I've signed paychecks. And so I know what it's like for the average working American, and I want to take that experience to Washington to serve people and do what we expect of our leaders, and that is to focus on us, the people, not their own personal agendas. So I appreciate the conversation. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Jenny. Next up will be Mark Smith.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Smith. Thank you guys very much for being here and having us. I'm a 4th-generation Low Country native, the grandson of retired cotton mill workers. I am living proof right in front of you that the American dream is not dead. You can't be and do anything that you want to be if you listen to your grandmother and your mother's advice. Stay behind in school, get your education, and stay on your knees and give God thanks and praise for what you have. I'm excited to tell you that tomorrow I'm going to close on my 10th funeral home location as a first-generation funeral home owner. I'm a full-time businessman, and I've served part-time in the legislature. 1 term on Mount Pleasant Town Council because I was frustrated because there was no businessmen or women who've actually paid an impact fee and actually built a business and created jobs and have to make a payroll every 2 weeks. That small business owner voice needed to be represented on Mount Pleasant Town Council, and I did that. And I'm very proud of my voting record there. I was asked to step up when the State House seat opened up. I did. I brought that same conservative voice of reason that's biblically worldview centered that I had in my business, that I brought on Mount Pleasant Town Council, and I brought to the State House. Super excited. I got a voting record that talks about, that doesn't talk about, that proves my deed matches my creed. It's as authentic as it can be. I look forward to diving deep. No way I can tell you my whole story in 90 seconds. Check out votemarksmith.com. I got the 5-minute alarm there. I'm looking forward to this evening. God bless you guys.
Thank you, Mark. Next up, Dan Brown.
Thank you, guys. My name is Dan Brown. I know that I spoke to a number of you earlier, but for those of you who haven't, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I am the outsider in this race. I am not an entrenched politician. I've never run for elected office before. What I am is I am a tax-paying middle-class citizen who goes to work every day to put food on the table for myself and for my family. I understand that America is going through a conservative renaissance right now, and that conservative renaissance is led by the people here in this room and the American people themselves, not by politicians. We understand that there are a set of principles in America that we all believe in. We need to protect innocent life. We need to protect private property. We need to protect the Second Amendment. We need to stop woke indoctrination in schools, and we need to make sure that everyone understands what the American dream is. The American dream is me and my wife. We're high school sweethearts who got married out of college. We bought a house, and now we have our son. And the first time I saw his ultrasound is when I knew that I needed to make more of a difference, because every opportunity that I've had in my life to pull myself up by my bootstraps, work hard, to provide for myself and for my family, is proof that America is the greatest country in the world to work, live, and raise a family. But that doesn't always have to be the case. Right now, our future and the future of American generations is threatened by a crippling national debt and people in Washington, D.C., unelected, faceless bureaucrats who believe they know your life better than they do. So if you want to learn more about me, you can meet me afterwards, votedanbrown.com, and I look forward to hearing and answering as many of these questions as I can.
Thank you, Dan. Next up, Jack Ellison.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Jack Ellison, born and raised here in Charleston, over at Trident. Then early in '99, we went to Colleton County. You know, North Charleston was, not doing so well, and, going down the drain, so Dad wanted a different lifestyle and wanted some land. So the biggest thing about me was I was a young, rebellious teenager, so I did have to pull myself up from my bootstraps. I dropped out of high school, got my GED, went into the Army, and thank you for your services. And then, based on Iraq, I knew that there was a lot more. I have a lot of buddies that, didn't come back, and, I struggle with PTSD, and they do as well. So I think the biggest, takeaway is I do think that the American dream still, still is there. And I'm evidence of it. I'm finishing up my doctoral at MUSC. I went to Johns Hopkins. I pulled myself up from my bootstraps. So as a business process engineer and as a consultant, my take is, I need actionable, measurable results. So how do we do that? Well, start simple. It's not rocket science. There's proven methodologies on how to do that. So just taking a very conservative approach and defining, what we're walking into.
Thank you. Next up, Tyler Dykes.
Thank you. My name is Tyler Dykes, and I am a fighter for the Low Country. I served in the United States Marine Corps like my father before me, like my grandfather before him, and we fought for this country. And I will be damned before I see this country get torn down by the radical left. From the assassination of Charlie Kirk, from the attacks in Minneapolis, sieging down a church, the 2020 BLM riots, they want to seize total and absolute power by any means necessary, including terrorism and violence. So what we need right now, more than anything else in this country, are fighters who are willing to look the left in the eye and say, we are not afraid of you. We will stand against you. We will fight against you because our ancestors, whose blood is soaked into this country since the Revolutionary War, through the World Wars, through the Vietnam Wars, till yesterday, we will not allow our country to be taken from us by these radical communists that want each and every single one of us dead. So these men and lady here are not my enemy. The real enemy are the anarchists, the terrorists, the atheists who want to destroy our way of life, who want to tear down our Constitution, and who want to rebuild it into their own anarchist utopia. And so the reason that I am running for Congress is because I want to make a difference and fight for the America that I love. My name is Tyler Dykes, and I hope I have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Next up, Dr. Sam McCown.
I'm Sam McCown. I'm running for U.S. Congress because I was born in the greatest country on earth and the best time in history. I was been blessed by the opportunities in this country, and Christ said, to whom much is given, much is expected. I just don't think we can keep electing the same type of people and expect different results. My family's been in South Carolina since before they fought in the Revolutionary War. My father was a struggling small business owner. My mom was a school teacher. We didn't have a lot, but they taught me the important principles of faith, family, freedom, and individual responsibility. I've been married to my amazing wife, Heather, for 32 years. We have 3 sons that I'm proud to say are all Eagle Scouts like me. I'm equally proud of my daughter. She's in medical school here in Charleston. I've served as a medical doctor, treated cancer patients, trauma patients, but also been an entrepreneur working in real estate, construction, and investing in a lot of different companies. I'm the only one in the race that can say they're a political outsider, a doctor, a businessman, an entrepreneur, and I want to bring that experience to serving you. I'm a South Carolina first, strong fiscal conservative, and a Christian conservative. Thank you for being here, and God bless America.
Thank you, Sam. Now, Jay Byers.
Good evening. About to trip over that chair. So, my name is Jay Byers, and I am running for Congress because I believe the Low Country needs better representation to be able to take care of home. And my family has been here since 1995. I got married in 2000. I love the Low Country. I love where we are. My girls are at Clemson right now living their best life. They only call me when they need money. Or last night when their car got towed. That was fun. Let me tell you how that was really a good time and a good conversation. But we really need to be able to focus on affordability in the Low Country. There's things that we need to do to make sure that we're taking care of future families. And that's one of the things. I'm a mortgage banker by trade. I moved down here in 1995, started teaching school. I taught middle school science, high school science, coached baseball. But once we realized we were going to have kids, Amber wanted to stay home with the kids, and I knew that $33,000 a year in a single-income house in Charleston, South Carolina was not going to go far. And so I started a mortgage banking company. I've been doing that ever since. And from that level, I've seen how affordability here for our young people has completely been decimated. Our future has to believe in what we're doing. We've got to believe in a country that they have an American dream to be able to pursue. Dorchester County Council, I've been on there for 15 years. My biggest frustration is the lack of adequate funding for infrastructure. That starts at the federal level. We've been fighting to make that better. I want to go to Congress to be able to do that because we're not getting enough money back and enough resources back to build the roads and infrastructure that we need here. I look forward to talking to all of you about the issues. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, and now we are going to start with the questions this evening. And the first question is going to go to Logan Cunningham. And as a member of the House with power over the purse, how would you approach reducing the national debt, controlling federal spending, and ensuring South Carolina One receives the fair share of appropriations for local priorities like infrastructure, defense, and disaster recovery?
Thank you very much. I think there's 2 things you have to address, and we'll do it quickly in the 60 seconds we have. But the first thing is we don't have a money problem, we have a spending problem. Washington loves to send too much money overseas or to their pet projects that they love to bury into a bill because a friend shook another friend's hand to make sure it got through. That needs to end. That's got to be the first step. Secondly, the person that's going to represent us, which is going to be one of us up here, has to go up there to fight exactly what you said. We have to bring those funds down for infrastructure. That has to be the #1 need for the Low Country in SCO 1. To do that, wasteful spending is 1. 2, it's advocacy. Time and time again, I was told on county council things couldn't get done, couldn't get accomplished without raising taxes. Talked about the teacher pay. It's $37,000 a year when I started teaching in 2020. Beaufort County now starting salary is $60,000 a year without raising our taxes at all. That's called cutting spending and cutting the waste. I've said it before, it's action and results, not just words. This isn't a campaign, this is to let you know that things can actually get done, and that's what I plan on doing in Washington as well.
Yep. Same question.
Okay, gotcha. Well, D.C. could certainly learn a lot from South Carolina, first of all, by having a balanced budget amendment. So the first thing I would do is make sure we drop that bill again and fight like the devil to get that bill across the finish line. The answer is the same way I ran my business and the same way that we're continuing to do things on Mount Pleasant Town Council and the State House. We got to scrutinize every single expense is happening. We got to make sure that we're bringing a fiscal conservative approach and get back to funding core services of government and not the bloated thing that we're doing with all the pet projects. We also need to make sure we're focusing on critical infrastructure items. Y'all, Edisto Beach, some of these smaller municipalities, Edisto Beach at I learned a $14 million annual budget. There's no way they can take care of their infrastructure items, fund law enforcement, and deal with beach renourishment issues. We got to keep the spending focused on core government services and get rid of the bloat and wasteful spending, and it happens across the board. And the first thing I would do, second thing I would do is, first thing, drop the bill. Second thing I would do is eliminate the Department of Education.
Make sure you're holding the mic up because some people in the back can't hear, so hold it up. And also maybe say your name before you.
Yes.
Hold it up.
Is it?
There you go.
Yeah.
Not really. Okay, my name is Jack Ellison, but I think all my colleagues, they have great points. I think one of the ways that I would tackle infrastructure is to increase the transparency amongst the whole spending, everything. I think you have to get rid of the ominous bills where you can just pile in a whole bunch of items to get one bill across. I think you have to eliminate that and be lean. We don't need all this extra fluff. We can be conservative in our approach to what we spend, actually prioritize what we're spending, and then from there actually make sure that we're holding people accountable. If we were held to the same standard as the Senate, you wouldn't if we missed the budget, get rid of us. I think that would be an easy way to clean up the budget.
Affordability and debt are connected. We just can't keep recklessly spending and printing money. Let's talk about how we got here. Bidenomics was unrestrained government spending. That spending required money printing, which caused inflation, hurting all segments of the economy. We just cannot keep doing that. It'll eventually cause more inflation, undermine our democracy and our way of life. Every day, every hour, the national debt goes up $250 million. We're here for a couple hours tonight, $500 million. Every single taxpayer is paying $3,000, over $3,000 a year just to cover the interest alone on the national debt. We need to work towards balancing the budget. We also cannot raise taxes. Raising taxes just slows the economy. We've got to grow the economy to address our debt situation. That's an all-of-the-above approach. That means cheap energy. Scott Besson has his 3-3-3 plan, which I'm at 5, so I'll stop there.
Please start with your name so that everyone can become familiar, okay?
I'm sorry?
Start with your name,
Start with my
please.
name, yes, absolutely. So my name is Jay Byers, and at the federal level, we absolutely have a spending problem. At the local level, Dorchester County, I'll give you a very specific example. We passed a penny sales tax 2 years ago by a 2-to-1 margin. That's going to raise us $700 million to build our roads. But we have $2.5 billion of roads needs today. Now, even though I went to Clemson, that math don't math. There's a definite spending problem in the federal government. Last year in 2025, the federal government across the entire country spent $61.5 billion on roads and infrastructure. Just one appropriations bill for Ukraine was $95 billion. We are spending our money in the wrong places. We need to be fighting to bring that money back to build our roads and infrastructure and our ports infrastructure here in the Low Country, and we've done a terrible job of that from both parties. So we need someone that understands this job is about taking care of home. It's about serving our country, but we've got to do a better job taking care of home because we need the resources here. The Port of Charleston in this area is too important to the southeastern United States. Thank you.
Very good. Yep. State your name.
Tyler Dykes. The sad reality is that we could literally fix the deficit tomorrow if we passed a one-line bill. No free stuff to foreigners. There are 100 million non-citizens here in this country. 66% of them are on some form of welfare. This means that $2 trillion a year are being given out for free of your money handed over to these people who weren't even born here. That, to me, is a crime and should be immediately abolished. And if we did that, we could fix the deficit tomorrow and have a few $100 billion left over to be able to give back to the states and rebuild our infrastructure. So the simple fact of the matter is this spending problem is being caused, yes, by overeager spending, but a bigger amount because of foreigners coming here and looting our country, like in Minneapolis, and the Democrats helping them to do it. So we fix that problem, we can fix the entire spending problem overnight. Thank you.
Dan Brown, as the outsider in this race, I think that we need to run government the same way that I do in my job and at my kitchen table. We need to see every dollar that comes into the government, because those dollars come from taxpayers, and it needs to be given the respect that this is money that Americans earned and is being taken by the government. We need to know what those dollars do when they go out of the government. We can't have 1,000-page spending bills that get dropped 20 hours before they have to vote on it, where no one has any idea what's actually in the bill until after it's passed. So I think it's just a matter of, I had someone describe it as Dave Ramseying the government in terms of understanding where every dollar is being spent that is being appropriated. And in terms of infrastructure, I'd want to be on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. I know it's not going to be one of those flashy things like the Judiciary Committee where I'm going to be on TV all the time, but I don't really care about being on TV. I care about getting things done for the people that are going to elect me to represent them, because that's what the job of a representative should be. Thank you.
Great job. Jenny Costa, Honeycutt. So I'm going to approach this from a little different angle. Yes, I think we all agree we need to get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse. Yes, we all agree we need a balanced budget. That would solve a lot of the problem. We cannot continue to push this debt onto our future generations. But the last part of the question was, how are we going to get the resources we need here in this district? And that can only be done through relationships. I think we've seen far too much time spent on candidates and actually individuals who hold office that really are out for themselves, and they're not focused on serving their district. They don't reach out to their county officials, their local and state elected officials, and they don't even know what it is that we need down here, even when I've asked those questions directly. And so I think part of it is the relationship between this office and our local offices. The other part is the relationship with leadership within the House. We have to be a team player if we want to have a seat at the table, and I would be the person that would go up there, build those relationships, and make sure that we got this deficit spending under control.
All right, Alex Pelbath, yeah, I happen to agree with what a lot of people are saying. We have to cut spending. It's not just cutting spending, it's what we're spending money on. And a strict immigration policy and ending foreign wars, all coupled in with cutting our spending. At the same time, we've got to cut taxes. We grow the economy on the other side, we grow GDP. This is how we tackle our national debt. For here at home, what do we see here all the time? We have crippling infrastructure problems. We have horrible roads and terrible traffic. We have struggling education system, and yet we pay the highest taxes of any state in the Southeast. Our politicians here are not getting it done. What the 1st Congressional District does for the United States of America is provide tremendous value. We have military bases all throughout this district. We're about to have the largest Coast Guard base in the country and the fastest growing port on the East Coast. What we provide for America is of tremendous value. Therefore, America should be investing in the 1st Congressional District to solve these problems.
Okay, this question is from Colleton County. Lobbyists and special interest groups seem to have gained great influence through their money that has drowned out the voice of we the people. How do you plan to listen to the people and restore the voice of we the people? We'll start with Jenny Honeycutt.
Hi again, Jenny Honeycutt, and I think the answer to that is simple. We have to make sure if I were elected to this, I would make sure that my loyalty is very clear. I'm not going to be going to these special interest groups. I think one of the perfect illustration is pharmaceutical industry. All of a sudden people talk and talk and talk about how we need to change healthcare or how we need to do these, and all of a sudden they become beholden to these special interests like that. Now, are there groups that I totally agree with? Absolutely. Faith, family, freedom, those you will know what I align with by virtue of my support and alignment with those groups. But committing to not being beholden to those types of lobbyists and industry groups is what's going to keep us honest and committed to our voters. Thank you.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd say it's a proactive approach in this job. Leadership means reaching the people. We don't wait until it's time to vote on a bill to figure out what our constituents want. It is being proactive. It's not open office hours where you come to us. It's going to seek out you, to meet you, to go to all the counties and visit everybody, to know how you expect us to vote before we get there. My favorite definition of leadership is this. Leadership is doing the right thing regardless of the consequences. That means we don't bow to special interests. We do the right thing, the thing that you expect us to do, representing you in DC, regardless of what that means to the special interest groups.
Logan Cunningham, it's going to be a couple fold here, twofold. One, it's very clear you're going to see who gets endorsements, who gets money from different areas. The bank accounts just got released. The findings will be filed this Saturday to see where the money is coming from. My campaign, we don't call it a campaign, we call it a movement. We're not taking money from big donors, it's 100% grassroots. We started with nothing 7 years ago, and we've risen to the top, and we're starting from nothing again to do the exact same thing. And that allows me to continue to fight for the people in the low country for what they actually really want. And that goes with exactly what he just said. That's a conversation that has to be had. It's not what I want. It's not what Logan wants to do while he's there or get accomplished. It's what the citizens that put me in that position want and need to get done in their communities. So it's that conversation. It's that debate, that dialogue, back and forth, building those relationships and making sure that we don't answer to somebody in Washington, we don't answer to politicians, we're low country first, and we answer to the people in the low countries, the ones that actually put our behinds in that seat in Washington. Thank you.
All right, make sure you say your name, each candidate, say your name again before you speak.
Logan Cunningham.
He said it.
All right, that's all
He
good.
did say it.
Hey guys, I'm Mark Smith. I love this question. Results matter. Look at my voting record and look at my donations and audit me and see how many times I voted against some of the many people who funded me because they bought into my vision. I wasn't beholden to them. It's easy talking platitudes. Here's the hard reality. If we want meaningful committee assignments, let's get serious. In DC, what does your representative have to do? Raise money every single quarter. It has to be done. That happens through relationships. You got to have a spine and the ability to vote your conscience. Let people know where you are on the issues and be true to yourself. Not only have I voted against special interest groups, I voted against leadership and even the governor because it's principle based. It's not about who you're beholding to, who you owe a favor to, or who you're hoping to suck up to. It's about leadership with a spine.
Okay, so I've been asked to repeat the question. Lobbyists and special interest groups seem to have gained great influence through their money that has drowned out the voice of we the people. How do you plan to listen to the people and restore the voice of we the people?
Well, I think first off, you have to start putting term limits on everyone. Oh, Jack Ellison, sorry. But I think you have to start putting term limits, and then therefore from there you can actually get rid of these PAC teams, where all the lobbyists, they have these special interests and they, cahoot and actually drive their influence into the policy and get what they need associated with it. So I think that's one thing. But in regards to connecting to the people, I think that you do this through actually town halls. At my church, talk to everyone. I go to Blessed Sacrament. Feel free to show up anytime. But actually, submitting out surveys to see how y'all feel about certain issues and giving you a voice. You might not be able to attend the town hall, but that way you still have a voice.
Sam McCown. First of all, on every board I've served on, I've term limited myself. I think you need to bring in new ideas no matter how good you think your ideas are. We need term limits in Congress. We've got a system that just feeds the swamp, basically. We've got to get away from that. I think it's tough for the voters to know who's going to have the character and ethics, but I think you have to look around and look at people's past and try to realize who were people beholden to and what are they doing it for. We need ethics reform in Congress. You should not be able to go to Congress and trade stocks, nor should your spouse or a family member. Why is the budget of Congress going up faster than Social Security income? Why do congressmen get their salary for life after they've been there 5 years? There's just so many things we need to throw out to fix there, and I'm committed to doing that for you because I want to go to D.C. to represent you in D.C., not D.C. to you. Thank you.
Jay Byers, this office is for the House of Representatives. And we need to remember that. After 15 years on Dorchester County Council, I've been to hundreds of HOA meetings, community meetings, party meetings, and the reason that we were able to pass referendums to build the infrastructure in Dorchester County is because you listen. You work together as a team to make things happen. When you go to D.C., it's important, just like if you're in Dorchester County or Charleston County or Beaufort County, you're elected to represent your neighbors. We've gotten away from that. Congress has become a full-time job for a lot of people. Candidly speaking, I love the job I have now. I love working on Dorchester County. We've done some amazing things. We've got an amazing community. But I look at what's going on, and we've got a country to save, but we still got a community to serve. And I think it's important that you remember who you are and who you're serving when you're up there. And you do that by making sure that you continue to meet with your neighbors, and you hold yourself accountable. And y'all hold us accountable. I think that's extremely important. And candidly, my wife will hold me accountable. Thank you very much.
Tyler Dykes. I want each and every single one of you to look to your left and look to your right now. That is who will hold us accountable. The simple fact of the matter is that I can stand up here and promise term limits, ban congressional stock trading, all the exact same things that everyone's going to say. But what happens when one of us gets into office and we're offered $1 million in order to be able to get onto the committee seat that we want? How can we possibly stand up against the kind of pressure of these special interest groups? I'll tell you why. It comes from grassroots, networked Americans just like you coming together and holding us accountable. That is the only thing that will actually make us follow through on our promises. And I pledge that I'll absolutely fight against this level of corruption, but that can only be done thanks to the unity of the people behind us. So I want to have an open door policy when I am in office, and I want to see your faces in my office, and I want to meet with you, the people, to make sure that I am carrying out the will of the people of the Low Country area. Thank you.
Dan Brown. We're hearing a lot about access and accountability and money. First off, if you give me money, you better hope that I already agree with you because it's not really going to change who I am. Second off, I know this is being recorded, so this is probably a mistake, but you want access to hold me accountable? 843-321-9608. That is my cell phone number. Again, 843-321-9608. You can reach me during the campaign. You can reach me when I'm in D.C. because it's more important for me to hear from people that have concerns, have issues, and have things that are going on right now that need to be fixed that I can do as a representative to help them than it is for me to go to some bigwig lobbyist in D.C. and have them cut me a check for $2,000 and waste an hour of my time. So again, 843-321-9608. If you want to hold someone accountable, I will be the most accountable person in this election because you'll just be calling me all day and all night when I make a mistake. And I am completely okay with that because I want to represent you, not big money.
I will start with Representative Smith. This question comes from Charleston County. What were your public positions on the COVID vaccine?
Yay, yay.
That's not all. I didn't come up with this, by the way. Did
I already love it.
Did you receive the COVID vaccine or recommend others to take it? And if so, did you read the clinical trial and what was the result?
Last question. Yes, I did read the clinical trials. I am the Roper Mount Pleasant Hospital Board Chairman. Have been for about 10 years. My wife did not get the COVID vaccine. My 3 sons didn't. I got 1 of the shots. And I did publicly announce that I got the first shot. That was my choice. My public position was, just like my wife and my 3 sons and almost 90% of my family, I did what I thought was right for me. You do what's right for you. This is America. We need to fight to make sure your rights and freedoms stay your rights and freedoms. I thank you for that question.
Jack Ellison, and joining the Army, I don't think you really have a choice, especially. So I mean, I was a pincushion. I remember holding my blouse and walking in the gymnasium while other people just gave me a whole bunch of shots before Iraq. I mean, I think and I just held the paper, So I did, and at the time I was working at Roper, running all the neuroscience at Roper before I left into consulting. But that was at the time, that was highly advised. I did not make my son get the vaccine. I did not force my decision on others. It was more of me choice.
Sam McCown. There's an old saying that when government is big enough to do everything for you, it's big enough to take everything from you.
That's right.
I think that's where we're headed today. We need fewer mandates and more free markets. We need less government and more individual liberty. We need to shrink the federal government and push power back to the states where people are better represented. Personally, I took the vaccine. My kids were adults. They were forced to take the vaccine. Some of them were in the situation they're in. I'm against vaccine mandates. I think the traditional vaccines, most of them are good, but I do think the approval process has kind of been taken over by the drug companies. And the federal government should not be forcing any of these on anybody. Thank you.
Jay Byers. So that was actually a very interesting time. Dorchester County, when that came along, one of the things that the county council did, and I was in oral surgery when they did this, is they voted for a mask mandate. And I got out of oral surgery and saw what they did. I said, no. We immediately revoked that several days later. And so from the shot standpoint, I did take the first shot because the county leadership was like, look, we just, we want to get all of our leaders to be able to make sure that we're safe. Amber and the girls did not. After that, I was kind of done. But at the end of the day, what's said before, your medical decisions are your choice. It does not need to be mandated on you. So from the standpoint of making sure that we do the right things, mask mandates, shot mandates, these are things that the government needs to get out of.
That's right.
This is America. We have the freedom to make our own medical choices for our family. And we've all seen people, that got very sick from this. Most of us did not. So I think it's really important that we don't allow that to ever happen again in America. Thank you.
I am proud to say that I did not get even 1 bit of that vaccine. On top of that, thanks to my efforts in trying to help one of my friends, he submitted not 1, not 2, but over 20 separate religious exemptions to the United States Marine Corps. Every single time that they denied him being able to get the religious exemption, he just filed again. Because he noticed in the fine print that as long as you had an active case open, you didn't have to take the vaccine.
Smart.
And so I am proud to say that I lobbied very hard against the vaccine. I attended numerous protests against the mask mandates. I did not read the trials, but I didn't need to. I just didn't want to take it. And so my parents did not take the vaccine, I did not take the vaccine, and numerous friends of mine did not take the vaccine because it is up to us, the people, to decide what we put into our own bodies.
100%. Yes, I took the COVID vaccine because at the time, based on my understanding of what the science was, it was the smart choice to make sure that I was going to have the best opportunity to be as healthy as possible. Now, more studies have come out afterwards that said that I actually put myself at a greater risk of tachycardia because I was a healthy young man and not necessarily the target demographic of what would be considered high risk for COVID. So, using the information I had at the time, I did it. With the information I have now, I probably wouldn't have done it. But on the process of vaccine mandates and studies, I think we need to incentivize at the federal level replicable studies in medicine. Because right now, the first study is what's important because it catches all the headlines. No one tries to do the second study to confirm what the first study found because the headlines have already been made and there's no money to be made in second studies. So I think that the secondary and follow-up studies are what we need to incentivize at the federal level because that's the way that we're going to make sure that that first study is not incorrect and that we are making well-informed and well-advised medical decisions.
Again, Jenny Honeycutt, and this one is deeply personal. I serve on Charleston County Council, as many of you know, and in 2020, I was the sole county council voice to oppose any vaccine mandate. I did not take the vaccine, and I would love to, for anyone who's interested, thank you, in looking into it. I actually debated our Dr. Blue, who is the chief of EMS, who came and presented to council. He is not an epidemiologist. He had no expertise in the areas that would have been required to really opine in this area. I can assure you he never spoke again on this subject matter before county council. But this, from my standpoint as a member of county council at the time, it was extremely important to weigh all of the evidence and facts. And I was getting all of the information from our epidemiologists, from the state, all of the medical information, and it was not adding up to what we were being told. And so the real concern for me was, are we getting the truth from our government? And that is where we need to be willing to hold each other accountable, but especially our elected officials. So no, I'm anti-mandate and did not take it.
All right, Alex Pelbath, I was also actively serving at the time that this was going down, and here was the choice we were presented. Get the vaccine or get kicked out of the military. And I was a commander, as a matter of fact, when this happened. I support all the people who didn't get the vaccine. Here was the harder choice for us. If you didn't get the vaccine, you couldn't go overseas and fight for America. What a choice to put on our troops. Yeah, I was a commander during this, during COVID, during DEI, during BLM, and the Afghanistan evacuation. Listen, the most important takeaway from this is that's what's waiting for us on the other side of 2026 if we don't get this right. 100%. The left is dormant, waiting to attack us on all these issues. We sent a mandate out in 2024. 2026 election isn't just about electing Republicans. It's about electing the right Republicans who know how to fight this battle against the woke left.
Thank you. I'll swap it. Logan Cunningham, I did not take the vaccine, never considered the vaccine. And even better, I actually ran my first campaign during COVID, during the shutdown. I got elected in 2020, took my office in 2021. My very first meeting was a Zoom. They would not allow me legally into the office because they were closed. I made the motion in my very first council meeting to reopen the office, which passed. I was the only one in the council chambers for 4 months, by myself, while everybody else sat at home. During this time, I continued to fight the mask mandate. Beaufort County was the second county to get it dropped after Myrtle Beach. They beat us by a week, unfortunately. And then secondly, our chairman at the time tried to create an ad hoc committee that would enforce all of our county employees to mandate the shot. I came out against that. You can check out the video. It went viral. Thank you, Tim Scott, for calling me afterwards. But with that said, we got it stopped, and then 6 months later, I got him removed from his seat and put somebody else in there because we don't tell Americans what to do. The choice should be ours. Right. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Where? Okay, Mr. Dan Brown, how will you ensure you represent the interests of the Low Country residents over national party agendas or special interests? And can you give an example of when you would break with your party if it benefited the district?
Yeah, thank you. So I think it's really important to make sure that the Low Country is put first. Low Country values over DC values. We know what we mean by Low Country values. It's faith, freedom, and family. In terms of when I would break with the Republican Party, let's take a look at something that I know is going to be pretty controversial, and that's going to be tariffs. Right now, tariffs is a big splitting point within the Republican Party. Does the president have unilateral authority to make tariffs? If the president's a Democrat, does he have unilateral authority to make tariffs? And I think the answer to that is no. A tariff is a tax, and tax must be initiated from Congress. So if I was in Washington, D.C., instead of saying, okay, let's give the president unilateral authority to create a new tax, I would say, Congress, let's reclaim the power that has been written in the first article of the Constitution over the power of the purse, and let's make sure that we codify President Trump's tariffs so that we make sure that any other tariffs that come from, let's say, a Democrat administration, they don't have the unilateral authority to do so. And I think that's probably a break with the Republican Party right now.
Yes. Okay. The question, how will you ensure you represent the interests of the Low Country residents over national party agendas or special interests? And can you give an example of when you would break with your party if it benefited the district?
Is it going this way? Is it my turn?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. Jenny Honeycutt again. Yeah, absolutely. I think the Low Country is unique. We have these military interests we've talked about. We have coastal interests we've talked about. And so there are opportunities when at the national level there may be some discrepancy on putting us first means not aligning with a particular agenda of a particular person or party. I will say, by way of example, where I would have parted ways is I would have requested the exposure of the Epstein files. I think that's one of those issues that's been very divisive. I don't know that everybody understands the issue very well, but the public has been absolutely clear. We want to know what's going on. The administration, when they came out, said we have these available. So on those types of issues that matter to our voters, and voters have made very clear, I would absolutely be willing to stand up and fight for the interests of the Low Country because it's you I'm going up there to serve, not the interests of a party or a person. Thanks.
All right, Alex Pelbath, the exact example I was going to give is the Epstein files. Americans want it. This is where I would split with the party. If we're not getting what we want, what Americans want, what we in the Low Country are demanding, this is where we fight. I will say we are very fortunate that Low Country conservative values happen to align with the America First agenda right now, and that we get to keep fighting for the thing. So I would absolutely split with the party if suddenly they stopped caring about Low Country conservative values, number one. Number two, I'll reiterate what I said before. We have to get after funding the Low Country's infrastructure because of what we provide for America. We find ourselves in a position where the federal government, America's not interested in funding the challenges. Right now, we bear the burden. Low Country residents bear the burden of affordability, traffic, infrastructure challenges because of what we do for America. I will fight to the death to make sure that the federal government, regardless of what's going on with the party, is taking care of us.
Logan Cunningham, how many of you are born here? How many of you moved here in the last 10 years? We live in a great area. The Low Country is beautiful. That's part of what makes us great, though, is those waterways. You want to catch me split from the Republican Party, it's the same thing that cost us an election in 2018 that people forgot about. Joe Cunningham ran away with that election because Katie Arrington didn't want to stand up against the president at that time talking about drilling on our waterways. If we do not protect our coastlines, we do not protect our way of life. So for an example, of course, we could say the Epstein file. That's a great hit. Just like everyone wants to say stormwater. But that out there, what makes this country and this area, the Low Country, so great is why we moved here. It's not just the weather, but it's actually that coastline. We have more coastline protected from Charleston to Beaufort County than all of the state of Florida, and there's a reason for that, and our job is to protect that. You want to catch me slip from the party? Try destroying our coastline, and I'll go to hell and back to make sure it doesn't happen.
Thank you, guys. One of the great things about having a voting record is you have a voting record. 3 examples. I had to write them down because I didn't want to forget them. Very quickly. I just did this last week. I attended the Judiciary Committee. Our state party sent out lots of emails support the bill that was amended and was not the same bill in the House to close the primaries. But guess what it said? Not just voter qualifications, candidate qualifications. And even though I was called out for supporting the bill, I publicly said I support the bill without candidate qualifications. Close our primaries. That's what we talked about. Second example, the governor came to me and said, hey, we got Scout Motors coming to town. They need to be able to sell directly to the public. I didn't agree with it. I sponsored the bill, had a hearing in my subcommittee, and voted against the bill because I didn't believe that they should get a free pass just because they're Scout. I'm running out of time. House caucus. Another third example. I voted against the budget because we gave ourselves an unconstitutional raise. It was wrong. I voted against the budget. The governor, the House, no one was surprised because I communicated that up front.
Jack Ellison, and will you repeat the question one more time?
Sure. Okay. How will you ensure you represent the interests of the Low Country residents over national party and agendas or special interests? And can you give an example of when you would break with your party if it benefited this district?
Absolutely, and I think this is where we have to sometimes reach across the aisle. I don't think, red, blue, and I mean, if it's the best for our community, then sometimes we have to, reach. And I think with that, it's much bigger than that. With the mask mandates, actually, I was not for the mask mandates. So looking into, the science, I would have been opposed to that. Looking, embracing, Epstein files, the coastline, I could agree with all of those things. So I think the biggest thing is just making sure you're in tune with what's happening with the community and making sure that they are the priority. It's not about me voting, for my personal beliefs. It's about having morals and values and actually supporting your beliefs. Thank you.
Sam McCown, there we go. First, I always say the best regulation is no regulation. The second best regulation is transparency, and the Epstein files are a perfect example of that. The government should always be transparent and accountable to you, nobody else. If you don't know, then it's just not right. They're hiding something from you. Whenever there's hiding, there's corruption to be found. Next, I also thought, I remember, I'm a lifelong boater. I love our coast. My kids have grown up throwing cast nets on this coast, and the oil fields was the first thing that came to my mind. South Carolina's not set up for that. Not only the oil fields offshore, but the infrastructure it would take on the land. And finally, I would say, too often the Republicans in Congress, I feel like we have too many rhinos that go up there and say they're going to vote for small budgets and don't. I want to use my networking skills to work with others to try to come up with alternatives, but I will use my vote as much as I can to force us to restrain our crazy spending there. Thank you.
Jay Byers. So last year, Senator Mike Lee wanted to sell 11 million acres of federally owned land, public land. Oh, sorry. So Mike Lee wanted to sell 11 million acres of publicly owned land. I believe that the federal government has a role to protect green space for the future. Dorchester County Council, we have unapologetically tried to conserve green space so that our children can enjoy the same reason that we all move and live here, because we love to get outside. Ashley River Park, which I was a driving force on, we built that park. It was going to be a neighborhood. It's no longer a neighborhood. It's now a first-class park that's winning awards all over the place. We've got to make sure that we're protecting our green space and conserving our green space for our future. Second thing is private equity firms and institutional investors buying up housing that we need to be able to buy, our kids need to be able to buy. It's causing affordability issues. I'm not worried about taking care of big business. I'm worried about making sure that we take care of small businesses and the middle class who've been crushed by the affordability issues in America, and making sure that they have opportunities to be able to believe in the American dream.
Tyler Dykes. I have heard a lot of great answers here tonight, pretty much all of them that I agree with, protecting our coastline and everything else. The Epstein files have to be released, but I think that Thomas Macy said it best when he said, quote, I stand with and vote with the Republican Party 95% of the time, and the other 5% of the time they have wasteful spending or they're protecting pedophiles. And I think that's a pretty good way to live by. We have to stand with what's right. We have to put America first and the low country first and have the overall guiding philosophy of what is good for our people of our area must be done and what is bad for our area must be opposed. And one of those also, as an example, is foreign aid. We are spending hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, sending it to all sorts of countries all over the world, and we need to cut that foreign aid, including to the states of Ukraine and Israel. Let's bring our money home. Let's stand for the American people and keep that money here so that way we can protect our own. Thank you.
Can you turn me on? We're going to take a quick little break. Most of you saw that they are taking a break. You all have to stay here. Most of you saw these on your seat. Okay, we've been talking about accountability. We've talking about transparency. These are what are called scorecards. I chose the most difficult, the hardest, whatever you want to say, because you can get scores from a lot of different avenues. This is the Freedom Index. This is constitutional conservative on how these representatives have been voting. So you'll find your Congress for CD1 in here, Nancy Mace, and you'll find some of the surrounding people. They're in order of their voting record, okay? In order for you to hold your district rep, your congresswoman, congressman, you need to be able to look up how they're voting. You need to follow along. This is very, very important. So if you didn't get one of these, let me know, but I've put them on the seats there. And I also wanted to thank the people for this event tonight. We are grassroots. We the people. There's no fund. We're doing this all on our own. I am so thankful to each and every one of these people that answered back because they get, I know, just tons of invitations, tons of, they're busy. So this is so thankful. But I think they were very smart because all of you, you're grassroots. You will go tell other people. You do have people that count on you. So this is an incredible group to speak to and get to know in your congressional district. I want to thank those that helped out real quick to give a quick thanks. Abe, thank you so much for helping with the sound system. Abe is the CEO of the McCann. Yes, thank you so much. Also, Robert Patterson, he is the owner of The Point here. He loves Patriots. He's so helpful to different of us that are Patriots and opened up his facility. Be sure and help the bartender back there and let her know that thanks that you're here. Larry Kurbowski, who's in our district, he is our Charleston on council, and he helps support and give some funds, and I thank you so much. I don't know if Larry's... He just stepped out. Oh, well, thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate it. And to all the America First Patriots that offered to help me, whether it was setting up chairs or any of those that want to help take down the chairs would be gratefully appreciated. But we are grassroots. We the people. This is not about how much money somebody's going to make, a slush fund. This is about education. This is about you getting out and taking hold of what's going on in our county and our district. Hold your representatives accountable. I will have to give a shout out to Dan. I love that about giving out your phone. I'm calling somebody out right now. I haven't heard, I blow my rep's phone up. She doesn't answer me anymore. But let me tell you, she should, because it is very important that you speak to your constituents, and you are the constituents. You are telling them what they need to be doing. So, again, thank you for coming. I hope you're gaining some information. Wanted to give you guys a little break up here, but again, appreciate you coming out tonight.
Okay. My question goes to Jack Ellison. This is a question from Beaufort County. Should post-election audits be mandatory for federal elections? And if so, what standards should they meet to ensure accuracy without unnecessarily delaying results?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, Jack Ellison, I definitely think that there needs to be audits. I think we need a checks and balance system. I mean, we have, in theory, a checks and balance system in the government, and, everyone, as small business owners, has an audit, and, that's the expectation. So having full transparency of exactly what's going on, how it's working, if there was a miscount, go ahead and, fix that, make it right, be transparent about these kind of situations and work to mitigate them and actually, fix the problem. And if the answer is, Trump's proposal, then, totally. I totally support it, and I think, it would be beneficial to just know that we have, accurate counting of the ballots.
Sam.
Right. Yes, I do. When my father was many, many years ago chairman of the Election Commission, I said, why do you want that job? Because when the elections go well, no one says thank you. And when they're screwed up, everybody blames you, and it's a volunteer position. He asked me the same thing when I was considering doing anesthesiology. I don't trust computers because I think not everybody can go behind a computer and check it. Right, so computers can speed us up, but I believe in hard copies. I think that's a big key to it. Voting should be easy to do and hard to cheat is the bottom line. I like the gold standard voting as long as we make it so veterans can vote. People in the military, active military at the same time can vote as well. Thanks for the question.
So what happens?
Name.
That's Sam McCown. I got you, brother. So what happens when you turn on the lights?
Your name.
Oh. Jay Byers. I need a restart. I gave Sam some of my time. So what happens when you turn on the lights? The cockroaches flee. They don't like being exposed. And election fraud is something that happens a lot. It actually even happens locally. We have people that are, you've seen people in the poll, and I've talked to election poll managers, where somebody comes in and is like, hey, I hadn't seen your mom today. Is she going to come vote? No, she's working. Well, when you get done voting, come back in and vote for your mom. That stuff actually happens. And so it's the kind of thing where mail ballot, it doesn't happen much, but it is the kind of thing where we need to have a lot of sunlight in the precincts. We need to be able to count our ballots afterwards. If there is an audit required, we need to be able to honor that audit. Because at the end of the day, the only people who don't want it to be easy to vote and actually hard to cheat are the people that want to cheat. And we need to be able to make sure that we're standing up for that. Our republic, it's too important to the future of our republic to make sure that we actually have elections we can believe in. And right now, I think everybody in this room, our confidence in that is a little bit shaky.
My name is Tyler Dykes, and we absolutely have to secure our elections. Illegals should not be able to vote in our elections.
That's right.
Just recently in Fulton County, Georgia, they discovered there were 200,000 fraudulent ballots that were cast in the 2020 election, meaning Trump won the election in Georgia in 2020. And I was, in fact, in D.C. protesting against the rigged and stolen election in 2020. I was there on January 6th. I went to prison, and I was pardoned by President Trump for standing up for our elections and for advocating for that. Thank you. We have to secure our elections. We have to pass the SAVE Act, make it so that you have to present either a birth certificate or proof of citizenship in order to be able to vote, make it so that there's more safeguards, have open and televised live-streamed ballot counting, and allow people of both parties to be watching every single ballot be counted. Do that, and our party will win in a landslide.
I don't think anyone here would disagree that we need safe and secure elections, and it needs to be done on the state and local level because states and localities are in charge of administering elections. And as congressmen, though, I don't think it's our role to be the ones that set the rules for how elections should be run. That should be at the state and local level. Let me tell you a story as to why. 2020, Iowa's 2nd Congressional District, Marionette Miller Meeks, the Republican, won by 6 votes over Sidney Axne. Speaker of the House at that time was Nancy Pelosi. Are you telling me that if Congress was overseeing the election and the election auditing when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, Marionette Miller Meeks, the Republican, would have been seated with a 6-vote win? Or would another 7 votes have been found at some point during that election auditing if it was run at the federal level? So yes, absolutely we need safe and secure elections, but that started
At the federal level across the entire country to make sure that no matter who's in charge, we have election integrity. So yes, absolutely on the SAVE Act, and yes, absolutely there must be audits when it's over. Clear and transparent audits.
Logan Cunningham, it's obvious. We know we need to have audits. We know we need to be able to have clean elections. This is number one. If you cannot prove citizenship, you do not vote in our elections in all 50 states. I know people want to say it should be done at the federal level, but we do have to have some standard of guidelines, because if not, you have large states that can sway an entire election, California being one, New York being another. It's hard for us as Republicans to overcome those numbers. Yes, our computers need to print out paper ballots. You should be able to validate that. But with that said, you have to start at the root of the problem. We know that there's always going to be corruption, there's always going to be some type of bad apple, but we have to make sure that we can at least secure them with who is actually voting. Make sure people are citizens, make sure they actually live in the county or the state. I can tell you for a fact, I run Station 300 in Bluffton. I had an employee move to Colorado. She received 4 paper ballots in Colorado to vote in the runoff in the Georgia election. She's in Colorado. She received it twice. Not only that, she could have voted 4 times or twice for her and her significant other without the validation of proof.
Thank you, guys. Mark Smith. I'm so excited about this question because, yes, they should be secure. And what I love is what you're going to get in D.C., if you send me there, is the same reformer that you had in South Carolina. We did the Election Integrity Act, and thank God, as soon as you show your ID here in South Carolina, you're given what? A paper ballot, because we just had an election in Dorchester County, just happened, that we had to have an audit and a recount on that. And guess what? We sent a Republican to keep that seat with Greg Ford, and we had to have those paper ballots. They helped secure that election. It just happened. Also, we want to make sure, of course, yes on the SAFE Act, let's keep illegals voting out, but also let's close our damn primaries. Republicans vote in Republican primaries, Democrats vote in Democrat primaries. This is a no-brainer. We need to get behind all of our legislators on a state and federal level and stop all the badness.
All right, this question is from Berkeley County. Name an instance when you stood for your principles, putting South Carolina citizens first, and stood against a force that pushed you to compromise and put other interests in your interest first. We'll start with Tyler Dykes.
Hello. No? Hello? Wait. There we are. Now we're working. All right. So, I have stood by my principles through and through. I was arrested for my participation in January 6, where I entered the Capitol building. I was pardoned by President Trump, but at my sentencing, the FBI came to me and they said to me, basically they hinted that if I turned on Trump and said that President Trump was responsible for January 6, they implied that they would lower my sentence and give me an easier time. And yet, despite that fact, and this is on public record, I stood at my sentencing hearing and I said, to the very end, I stand with President Trump, and I refuse to compromise my principles. I went to prison for refusing to compromise on my principles, and I was pardoned by President Trump because of it. I will bring that same energy to Congress if you choose me to be your representative. Again, Tyler Dykes, thank you.
All right, the question is, name an instance when you stood for your principles, putting South Carolina citizens first, and stood against a force that pushed you to compromise and put other interests and your own interests first.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan Brown. So I think this is something that everyone who's up here today has had someone reach out to them from the United States Term Limit Project. Am I correct about that? Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about that first. The United States Term Limit Project, they reach out to you and they say, hey, we want you to sign our term limit pledge. And if you sign the term limit pledge, we'll give you a good press release. We'll talk and we'll elevate you and we'll make you that you're a term limit champion and help you in your primary that way. Now, the term limit pledge, when I read it, said you will agree to support a 6-year term limit in the House, a 12-year term limit in the Senate. You're not going to term limit yourself because you can stay and fight for term limits just as long as it's going to take. But more importantly than that, it says you cannot vote for any term limits that are different than 6 and 12. I didn't sign the pledge because I think we need the flexibility to support term limits in any form and not limit ourselves that way. So I've been told that I am anti-term limit because I think that we need the flexibility to ensure that term limits happen, but it's come out and hurt me personally in this election.
I'm going to have to go back to the deeply personal experience I had on county council with respect to COVID implementation. And I want to take it from a slightly different angle because there was a vote we had to take on mandating it for our county employees. Of course, I was very opposed to that. And the main reason was because of what it meant for our law enforcement and those in our EMS department and those who were first responders. And I couldn't believe that we were actually taking the very people willing to get out and risk their own lives, telling them they could no longer be employed by the county if they didn't take a shot that they weren't afraid they were going to die of if they didn't take it. They understood the medical risks. They faced death every day to protect us and to serve us. And so it was absolutely mind-blowing to me that there were other council members willing to go along with that and to tell them that they weren't worthy to serve at the county level anymore because they wouldn't do that.
Alex Pelbath, I'll take you back to August of 2021 as the commander for the evacuation of Afghanistan, leading the team here from Joint Base Charleston. A ton of kids, most people under 30 years old were leading. I'll take you right to the middle of that evacuation. On August 24th, we just got done flying one of our tougher missions, and we happen to be in the chow hall. And on the news is the Taliban commander. And the Taliban commander says, look, at this time it's not going well for America. We're not going to make the end date. And the Taliban commander says, August 31st is a line in the sand. America will be gone. How do you think we felt hearing that from a terrorist? You know, our thought was we better see Biden on TV tomorrow. Well, we did. But Biden came on TV, and he agreed with the Taliban. And we knew that meant things were going to get worse for us. And they did. Because 2 days later, a suicide bomb was detonated, killing 13 Americans. I have suffered under the Biden admin, the leftist leadership. I've been there fighting from the inside. I will continue, no matter who's in charge, fighting for low-country families.
Logan Cunningham. I'm going to take it back to COVID as well, but I'm going to go a little bit farther to let you know what happened on the personal side. So, like I said, I just got on county council at that time, and I came out against the mandate for the vaccine, came out against the mask as well, and then came out against mandating it for county employees. Not only did I have protesters show up to my house, where we had to get them removed because the liberal left can't be told what to do, apparently, but they want to tell us what to do. They also came to my place of work and started to picket outside of my place of business, trying to shut down and let employees inside, trying to not let customers inside. But little did they know the joke's on them. We don't back down. We have our beliefs. And our belief says we will not infringe on your rights, you do not infringe on ours. So, needless to say, we opened back up. We've never been more successful. Beaufort County reopened the county. The mask mandate was removed, and there was never a mandate for the shot in Beaufort County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Smith. I'm excited about this question. I want to, our deed must match our creed. Our votes should match our core values and our principles that we stand for. That's exactly why I voted against the budget in the House last year, because we gave ourselves an unconstitutional raise. It was illegal. Guess what? We were right on that issue. Today, it just happened today. We spent about 5 hours debating this issue. The left tried to convince us on multiple occasions and for multiple reasons why little boys should be able to go in a little girl's restroom. It just happened today, y'all. We got that bill across the finish line. You got an Audi, you go to the Audi restroom. You got an innie, you go to the innie restroom. That's what we're going to do here in South Carolina. Eliminating income tax. I've never met a fee or a tax decrease cut that I don't love. Hear me. On town council, we cut taxes and reduced fees. We eliminated the retirement income for all of our veterans, military men and women in South Carolina, and we're going to eliminate the income tax completely in South Carolina as well.
Name an instance when you stood for your principles, putting South Carolina citizens first, and stood against a force that pushed you to compromise and put other interests and your own interests first.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working as a government, Jack Ellison. So I was working as a government contractor, and I was working on the 505 feasibility, and it was assessing the workload of the VA around suicide prevention. And one of the things is I started diving into the numbers and started talking to a lot of the VA executives and ELTs. None of them were veterans, scattered throughout the country, and it was very apparent that they wanted us to manipulate the data to essentially increase, personnel, but the data didn't suggest that. So what I did was I reached out to Nancy Mace because I knew she was, in charge of that committee, and tried to work for a solution, and then ended up still having to, comply, but was able to put a disclaimer in there to, bring transparency to the situation.
Sam McCown. I think what we're getting at in this question is how do we know you'll stand up for us when the chips are down? And I think most politicians just want to get along with the crowd. They want to go to D.C., go to the State House, whatever, on their council and get along with everybody. And that's an instinct people have. But when I mentor kids and what I teach my children is you gain more respect in life by sticking with your principles. And that's what you have to do every step of the way. You have to know how you believe on things. Think about your Christian beliefs. Think about your ideological beliefs and stick with those. If you do that, people will respect you no matter how much you go against them. I'll say in my med school class, for example, there were 135 people, and they had to choose somebody to be on the admissions committee for the med school. And they chose me because they knew I would be the one to stand up to all the attendings and elitists on the committee.
Jay Byers. In 2010, when I first ran for election, I knocked on over 2,000 doors, and in that election, one of the things that I learned is that people in Somerville and Dorchester County, they wanted to be able to have nice things at home. A lot of people move to Charleston, but they don't want to have to drive to Charleston or James Island County Park to be able to go do nice things. And so one of the things I learned is we need to be able to build those things at home. We need to invest in ourselves. And so we passed several different referendums to build parks and libraries, roads and conservation, because that's what the people wanted and we listened. I think it's important that you be able to listen and you stand by those values. Politically speaking, it's not the most, my election certainly could have come into jeopardy, but I always took the stance of, look, I'm going to do what's right, and if I don't win my next election, I get to spend more time with my girls reading books at home. They're at Clemson now, they're a little too old for that, but at the end of the day, it's important that you stand for what you believe in. We invested in ourselves. Parks make quality of life better. The most expensive real estate in New York City is where? Everything around Central Park. It's because you're actually investing in yourself to make your quality of life better at home. Thank you.
All right, candidates. Last question before we go to the lightning round. Sam, this will be coming to you for starters. It was reported in the Post and Courier that one of the candidates for CD1 wants to go to Washington, quote, to fix a broken system and get federal funding to improve local infrastructure. One of the major flaws of the U.S. Congress is the practice of passing continuing resolutions instead of following the regular order of producing a congressional budget. If it is your goal to bring federal funding back to CD1 without a budget, will you contribute to that broken system? Or please explain how you plan to fix that broken system.
You fix the broken system by leadership and teaching others, I do want to participate in the budget process. The budget process, go through committees, that's how the system's supposed to work. That's how our founding fathers wanted it. So we've got to stick with that system. It's on the way. We can't just be selfish to everybody, get what we can to bring back things back here. There's money allocated for it. I would rather the federal government never take it a step. Fight for it to get it. Economy, we've got to grow the economy to get out of the situation.
Jay Byers, I think this is, are we going the other way? Are we going that way?
You're right,
Oh,
you're right.
okay, all right. Don't mess with my mind, man. Mind games. Jay Byers, I think this is a really important question. Congress has abdicated their responsibility for actually passing a budget, and then we're stuck with CRs to be able to fund the budget, and then you see the Democratic Party wants to try to hold us hostage so that we pass a CR to keep the government open. We've got to get away from that. But I think it's also important that we make sure that we're going up there to fight. When a bill is appropriated for spending, we've got to be able to fight for what's in that bill to be able to come back home. Over the last 10 years, District 1 has only had $500 million come back to this district for roads and infrastructure. $500 million. When we're spending $65 billion a year, that's a microscopic amount we're not getting taken care of. I will fight to make sure that we're bringing money back here to take care of the port, to take care of the infrastructure, to build the quality of life, because this district is too important not only to the state of South Carolina, but to the Southeast and the nation. And we've been left behind for far too long. I think it's very important when the budget process comes in, you fight for that budget and you fight for home.
One of the reasons that we have all this bad pork in our bills is because, partially, it's because of the filibuster and because of the Senate needing Democrat votes in order to get bills passed. So then the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, goes and makes a deal and says, hey, we'll give you $100 billion for transgender surgeries for illegal immigrants, and in exchange, you'll give us $50 billion for ICE. That's generally the way that it works in Congress, and that is never going to change unless from the Senate they remove that provision, so it only takes 51 votes in order to get things passed. And then we also have to remove Mike Johnson from being Speaker of the House and get someone who actually wants to stand for freedom, the American people, to pass things, who won't go run away and cut deals with the Democrats for all of these horrible things. That is the only way that we are actually going to have real change here in this country. We need a change of leadership in the Republican Party in the House of Representatives.
Dan Brown, let me tell you a little bit of a story. I was a Capitol Hill staffer years ago working on legislation. A 1,260-page budget bill was dropped, and we had less than 24 hours to decide if we were going to vote for it or not. Now, I don't know about you. I'm a pretty fast reader. I can't read 1,260 pages in 24 hours. Neither could the congressman. He got the entire staff in an office. We all had 200 pages. We flipped through it, and we just yelled out things that we saw so we could try to determine whether or not we should vote on it. That being said, the omnibus process is broken. We need to pass single-item bills. And I think that that's something that we can all agree with, because if it's a single-item bill, then we know how we stand on individual issues, not, oh, I like this part of the bill, but I don't like this part of the bill. And when it comes to infrastructure, yeah, that's why I want to be on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Here's something else I think we can all agree on. 95 needs to be 3 lanes long in South Carolina, not just in Georgia, because we have the fastest growing population in the state of South Carolina, is in the 1st Congressional District, and we need the infrastructure to maintain it.
Yes, we do. Jenny Honeycutt. Again, the budget process is very complicated, and it doesn't need to be. And so what we really need is the reform that we've all been talking about. There has to be a balanced budget amendment so that we can go in and do exactly what we've been, those of us who've served in county government are obligated to do, and in state government. When we do that, then we won't have these issues of everybody's pork. However, I am not going to let other areas take advantage of that and say no. And we've had representatives in this seat before who did that, and it served no one in the Low Country. And so I will make sure that whatever we can to do, number 1, to get that balanced budget amendment, but number 2, to make sure that the Low Country is taken care of and gets their share.
Alex Pelbath again. I'm pretty sure that was my quote that they're using for this question. And the reason I said that is because when I look at what's happening here in South Carolina politics, we have the highest taxes than anywhere in the Southeast, and we can't get it done here locally. I will go get it done in D.C. because of what we do, the burden that you all bear for the United States of America. Another thing we have to do is we have to make sure we're passing laws, legislation in D.C., is that we're not attaching special interests. The reason they don't pass is because we attach things that are untenable to them. We just saw that here in the Low Country. All of us want closed primaries. But the political establishment tried to attach a power grab on the back of one of those closed primary bills that would make veterans and everyday Americans like me ineligible to run. Pass the bill that we intend to pass. We won't have these problems in D.C.
Logan Cunningham, it's first important to remember that we fund the federal government, not the other way around. We should be telling them what to do with those funds. That's number one. Two, a track record speaks for itself. Hilton Head and Beaufort County talked about building a bridge for over 20 years and just kept kicking the can down the road, down the road, down the road. I made a promise to make sure I got that done. Not only did we get that done in Beaufort County and hold Hilton Head accountable to get them to sign on, but we also had the state and SCOD kick in $210 million. Actions, standing up, bringing results. We all know that there's too much fluff in these bills in Congress. But we also need to have a person that's up there that's willing to take the fight and not back down. It took me 3 years to get that done. It took me time and time again, people telling me no, but we refused to waver because we wanted to make sure that we got it done. We knew that our residents needed it and deserved it. We know that the Low Country, right here, SCO1, is the backbone of South Carolina. So if we're not going to send somebody from SCO1 to have the backbone of Washington and make sure that funding comes back down here, then we're severely screwing ourselves. Thank you very much, Logan Cunningham.
Thank you. Mark Smith, I think we're all going to take claim for that quote. I think we should actually identify who gave the quote. Absolutely. We need to fight for every single penny we can get to fund infrastructure projects here in the state. And not only do we need to do that, I mentioned earlier, for example, Edisto Beach, $14 million. How in the world are they going to manage beach mitigation issues on $14 million and fund core services of government? We got to make sure you got a fighter up in D.C. who's going to continue to bring home funding for critical infrastructure issues. 2/3 of our economy comes from our coastlines along our beaches. That's a critical issue that's got to be funded. Second of all, how do we get through it? We talked about the balanced budget amendment we have here in South Carolina. Let's not only do that, but let's go a step further. How about a zero-sum budget in D.C.? Let's start with zero. You get zero. We're in the budget process in South Carolina. This year's budget started with last year's spending. That's ludicrous. Start at zero and justify every penny you got to get and hold people accountable.
Jack Ellison, and I totally agree with a lot of my colleagues up here. Zero budget, it was definitely something I was going to talk about. But you know, I think the biggest thing is just relationship building. You know, it's common saying, you know, you get more with honey than you do shit, you know. So with that, you know, being, you know, with that, though, you're not losing, you know, sight. Every once in a while, we're going to have to work with other team members and have strong leadership, strong presence, and help move that funding to Charleston. But I think it has to be strategic. I think you can't, I mean, you can compromise on some things, but you can't compromise on everything. So I think it's just sticking to the values, the morals that you have, and actually doing what's best for the community.
All right, candidates, clearly there's some fatigue setting in, and technical difficulties, please stand by. All right, so candidates, if you would break out your red and green cards, we are going to enter into the lightning round, okay? Listen to the question, and when I finish asking the question, there's no discussion, no nothing. Raise your green card if your answer is yes. Raise your red card if your answer is no. One of the candidates asked in the prep to this, well, what if I'm not sure and I raise both? That's your call. Okay. So, and before I get started, let's have a round of applause for all the candidates. I think they've done a great job. All right, now let's have some fun. First question, lightning round. This month, President Trump issued an executive order to withdraw the U.S. from and end funding to 66 international groups, including 31 UN entities, that undermine our national interests, security, and prosperity. By sponsoring H.R. 1498, the Defund Act of 2025, the Disengaging Entirely from the United Nations Debacle Act of 2025, you can take decisive action to protect American sovereignty and economic strength. Will you stand with President Trump and help make his executive order law? Next one. The Charleston Development Regional Alliance advertises that doing business here is environmental, social, and corporate governance, or ESG. Apparently, non-governmental organizations like the CDRA and others seek to supplant life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness with ESG as the guiding principles of the United States. As conservative Republicans, we support American innovation and self-governance, and we reject unelected NGOs and tri-county governments promoting ESG. If elected, will you commit to not funding NGOs or counties in CD1 that promote ESG? Next question. Would you vote to grant amnesty to illegal aliens? And now, very pointedly, to the role that you're seeking to attain, would you vote to discontinue all direct aid to NGOs?
So yes means no.
Correct. Would you vote to discontinue all direct aid to NGOs? You asked the clarifying question, you get high marks for that. All right. All right, we're going to move into closing statements. We're going to go in the reverse order of how things started. So we will begin. You have 30 seconds to make a statement to the audience here, and we'll start. Jay Byers. 30 seconds. I'm sorry. 1 minute. My apology. That's known as principled compromise, by the way. The intent here was a closing statement. We just negotiated how long they had.
Right. Check, check. Okay. So, 60 seconds. My name is Jay Byers, and I really appreciate, first of all, the time that you took to come here tonight. Most Americans, after being on Dorchester County Council for 15 years, most Americans don't take their citizenship nearly seriously enough. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being engaged. One of the things that I talk about is, on this card, conservative, proven, and authentic. Well, what does that mean? Conservative, we need to make sure we're protecting our family values here in the Low Country. We need to make sure we're getting our fiscal house in order. Proven. The last 15 years, go look at any news organization, go Google me and look at what we've done. I am proven to be able to get things done, and you don't do that by burning bridges. We've got too many politicians right now that love to burn bridges. I am a bridge builder. It's important that you work with people, even people you disagree with, to be able to get the decisions right that are for your community. And the last thing is authentic. I am who I am. I'm running because I love the job I've got now, but I think that my experience can help this district to be able to make sure we're taking care of home. Thank you again. VoteJByers.com if you want more information. Have a great night.
My name is Tyler Dykes. I may not have the most experience as many of the other people running against me, but what I do have is the tenacity and the grit to fight on behalf of the people of our country and the people of the Low Country. I love America. I love the USA. And because of that love and because of the sacrifice that I am willing to give for the people that I love and care about, I will make the hard decisions at my own cost in order to prioritize what is good for the American people. Because above all, America first, Low Country first, means that we have to take the hard decisions that might be unpopular, that maybe some people don't like, that might get us in trouble with the elites or the bureaucrats. But we have to make the decisions that will put our people, our country, and our area first. And that is exactly why I am running to represent you, to be your representative here in the Low Country. So I'm asking that you vote for me and you visit my website, dykesforcongress.com, and that you vote for me this coming election. Tyler Dykes. Thank you.
My name is Dan Brown, and like I said, I'm an outsider. I'm not a politician. I've never run for office before. What I am is a husband, a father, a small businessman who pays taxes and puts money on the table. More importantly, I want to be your next congressman because I believe that America is heading down a conservative path led by the American people, not by politicians. That path includes balancing the budget, shrinking the size of government, and keeping the government out of everyone's personal business. But most importantly, I want to be your representative. I don't want to be someone that says whatever I say is what you guys all believe. So with that being said, I've talked to a lot of you today. Those of you I haven't talked to, you'll see a red truck outside that says Dan Brown for Congress. Come talk to me afterwards if you want to. I want to know what's important to you. And if you can't do that, 843-321-9608. Give me a call or shoot me a text at any time.
Jenny Honeycutt, again, thank you so much for being here. It is such an honor to be able to stand in front of you, to ask for your support, to be able to introduce myself. Again, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm an attorney, I'm a small business owner. I'm even a girls sports coach. I coach tennis and volleyball, and I've held elected office, so I do have a record to run on. And what I want to be in Washington is your advocate. I want to serve by representing the interests of our voters who have clearly defined what it is that they want to see out of our representatives. Not someone who's up there for clickbait politics, not somebody who's out for attention or any self-enrichment. I think you've heard from me tonight. I'm not going up there because I don't like what I do today. I'm going up there because I see in my own children a future that if I don't stand up and advocate for this district, it will not be what I had. And I want to make sure that they get that and your children too. Thank you.
Alex Pelbath, hey, there's a war going on for our country right now. Politicians don't win wars, leaders do. We have seen the agenda from the left, pushing terrorism and corruption and trying to tear down everything that makes this country and the low country great. They are after our conservative values. This election is not just about electing a Republican. It is about electing the right Republican. We have so many issues here in the low country. The idea that we would send a politician to DC to fight this war is insane. I am a proud outsider. I will go on behalf of the low country to stand and fight for our conservative values, to bring it home for the low country, and to stand with President Trump and make sure that we are putting America and Americans first.
Logan Cunningham, we live in the greatest country in this entire world, and it's not up for debate. We live in the greatest state, and I believe we live in the greatest district. But this country and the low country is at a crossroads. Tonight isn't about who you're going to vote for. It's more about what direction do you want to see this country go in. By the grace of God, President Trump saved the Republican Party, because it was dying. We lost back-to-back presidential elections, and it wasn't even close. I'm a result of that. He engaged my generation. He engaged the generation right after me. And if we're not careful, we're going to go back in time and lose everything that he fought for. I said it because I got into this, my track record has proven that his policies, his ideas, they actually work if you're willing to stand up for it. So today I'm up here not necessarily for me, but I just fight for the beliefs of the low country and the conservative values, the true conservative values. It's not about making friends or political insiders. It's about putting America in the low country first. If you're interested in learning more, please go to logancunningham.com. I appreciate the time to try to earn your vote tonight. Thank you, and God bless America.
Thank you so very much. Mark Smith, 3 words come to mind I wrote down: experience, relationships, and results. Experience matters. I've spent my entire life signing the front side of a paycheck, building businesses, creating jobs, and providing services to our community. While doing that, I volunteered my time and served in politics because I gave my paycheck away the entire 4 years on Mount Pleasant Town Council. I didn't do it for the paycheck. I'm going to take that same tax-cutting, conservative, proven voting record, reformer, to DC if you'll consider voting for me in the June 9th primary. Relationships matter. There's a reason why I'm the state legislator of the year for the Firefighters Association, the Police Association, the EMS Association, and y'all, God willing, the Coroners Association as well. So we got the first responders and the last responders. I have almost all of those same endorsements for this same race. Endorsements are great, they don't win elections. I want your endorsement, and I'm going to work really, really hard to earn it over the next few weeks. Mark Smith.
All right, Jack Ellison, I did something similar. I wrote down a few words that automatically came to my mind. And one of the things is grit. You know, there's not many people that can say that they've strapped up their bootlaces, you know, before the Army and then after the Army. and, have been a high school dropout, go to a top-tier college, and then, finishing up a doctoral at MUSC. So I think that's one thing. Two, America first. This isn't about, it is about America. It's not about America. This is about Charleston. This is about us. This is about you. There's more to America. It's us first before we get to the larger federal sector. And then, service. Really working and building those relationships, establishing those, working well with others, and trying to move the needle. Accountability and results. I think, we need transparency, and without results, none of it matters.
Sam McCown, you can tell from the conversation tonight that I'm not a show horse, but if you look at my record, I think you'll see I'm a workhorse. I'm a political outsider, doctor, entrepreneur, engineer, and I want to bring my skills to serving you in the Low Country to fight for what's right for our country. I want to address affordability and debt. We did talk about healthcare, but healthcare, I have more experience and knowledge in healthcare than anyone else in the race. We've got to look at our state, hang with our American values. We've got to get DEI out of businesses and out of schools. And we've got to take on China. They're the biggest threat on us in the world stage. We've got to stay ahead of them economically, militarily, and technologically to continue to have peace through strength. Right quick, I'll leave you with what Ronald Reagan said. Ronald Reagan said, at every generation, peace, liberty, and freedom is at risk of extinction. You can't inherit it. Every generation, liberty and freedom has to be fought for again. I want to go to Congress to help President Trump fight for and preserve freedom for us and the next generation. Thank you, and God bless America.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, candidates. They will be staying after, I'm sure, to go to back to their stations if you want to talk to them. There is a bucket out there, the Red Bucket Fund. If you enjoyed what you did here tonight, like I said, this is grassroots. This is all out of our own pockets. I'd love to do another maybe debate amongst one of these and the Democrats, but we are going to do a straw poll, and that's going to be very important because we're going to be able to walk away from here and say, Congressional District 1 Forum, who won? So, Jim?
All right, so a couple of rules to participate in this vote. First of all, you must be a U.S. citizen. You must be alive. You may only vote once, and you may only vote for one candidate. This is going to be tough because we heard a lot of
good stuff.
Feedback today, a lot of good stuff. No ballots will be accepted from white vans or from under the tables. No voter registrations from commercial addresses, gas stations, state parks, donut stores. No early voting, okay? One day.
Just here and now.
No ballots will be accepted or counted after the voting period ends, and ballots will be counted using the gold standard hand counting method. And we encourage you after voting, there'll be a ballot box in the back. We're getting ready to distribute the ballots now. If you want to stay around and see a demonstration of how that works, we'd like you to join us out there in the bar area, and would also encourage you to patronize the bar if you're so inclined. So, Cynthia, any closing words?
Nope, just thanks everyone for coming, and look forward to other events that we will be putting forward. So thank you again.